Welcome to the Paradigm Shifting Podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration, hard truths, and authentic discussions about motherhood, marriage, and self-improvement. I'm your host, Pinky Bell, and I believe that marriage and motherhood should be an empowering experience for women. I believe that when we focus on improving ourselves individually, then together we can shift these paradigms that are leaving us feeling burned out, inferior, and victimized. This podcast is for growth-focused women who want to live life with intention and meaning. So with that being said, let's get into today's episode. Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Last week, we talked about bids, what they are, why they matter, and how to tell if your relationship can use work in this area. Today, we're going to finish up Principle 3 by going over really briefly, again, the ways that people miss bids. We're going to go over some exercises that you can do if you feel that you or your partner could benefit from learning to turn towards each other a little bit more. And we're going to go over some ways that you can deal with your partner's feelings of sadness, fear, or anger that might come up. Now, quick recap regarding bids. Bids, of course, are an attempt from one partner to another to get positive connection. Now, bids, even though they're an attempt for positive connection, can often be hidden in negative attitudes and negative tones. An example of this would be when one person says to their partner, "You're always on your phone whenever we watch a movie together." Now, the bid here is for attention. They want your attention. They want to feel like you're engaged in the activity and that you're doing it together. The delivery, however, is kind of negative, it's a little critical, and it's a little nasty. So what happens then is we respond to the negative tone instead of the bid. So when we respond to the negative tone, what we're doing often is responding defensively, and that creates a lot of tiffs and arguments. But this leads me to the second way that we miss bids, which is by being too tuned into our devices. We miss a lot of bids by just completely being distracted, paying attention to the things on the internet, on the TV, on our phone. We just legitimately miss them because we're not paying attention. There's a quote from Dr. Gottman in the book that I just absolutely loved, and I think it would be a good reminder for everybody to hold on to. He says that couples often ignore each other's emotional needs out of mindlessness and not malice. I think that's something that we should really hold on to and try to remember next time we're feeling a little bit ignored or jaded. So if you feel that you or your partner can benefit from help in this area, help in turning towards each other, there's a few exercises that you can do that will make the third principle become an easier, more natural part of your lives together. The first exercise that Gottman gives is called the emotional bank account. Now, keeping track of how much your partner has been connecting with you can obviously be beneficial to your marriage. Gottman says that for some, the concept works best if you make it into something real. You can do this by keeping a ledger or a notebook and giving your partner a point for each time he or she has turned towards you throughout the day. Some examples that he lists are things like calling me at work to see how my meeting went, or taking the van to get it detailed, things like that. What you would do then is share those ledgers with each other, but you have to do this, you have to go into this with the mindset and the understanding that this is not a competition. You're keeping score, but you're not competing with your partner. It's not about who's doing more for whom. If you have that attitude, if you make it a competition, it'll defeat the entire purpose of this exercise. What you're doing here is making small improvements by noticing how your partner turns towards you and how your partner is acting in a giving way. It's really getting you to train your mind to focus on these things. Now, Gottman warns that if you've gotten out of the habit of thanking your partner for turning towards you, then it can take a little bit to see results from this exercise. But to get into the habit of thanking your partner for turning towards you, and to help kind of get your wheels turning for things to look for, he provides a huge, long list of things to look for. He provides a list of examples of things that couples do together. He suggests that you choose 3 that your partner's done in the past and thank them for having turned towards you in those ways. Now, activities on the list, you could probably look this up on the Gottman Institute website, but activities that he includes on the list are things like reuniting at the end of the day to talk about each other's day, shopping for groceries together, making a grocery list together, cooking or baking together, going out without the children for lunch or for dinner, planning or hosting a dinner party together, going to church together, exercising together, listening to music together, talking or reading together, planning your future or daydreaming together. He also lists gossip, which I thought was really funny. Gossiping together can be an enriching activity for your marriage. So all of you little snarky couples out there that just bag on other people, you're serving your marriage. Isn't that nice to know? So all in all, he lists about 51 different things, but you get the idea. Ideally, both of you would be doing this exercise of choosing 3 and then sharing them with the other partner. What this will do is inform your partner of which acts scored you the most points, which things you really, really appreciated the most. I really like, I don't even know why, but I really like whenever we do our shopping list together. When we build the shopping list together, I don't know, I feel like I'm hanging out with my husband, we're talking, we're planning things for the week. I really enjoy it. I think if I were to ask him, he probably doesn't even think of it. He does it because I ask him to, but I don't think he's aware of the fact that that is something that earns a lot of points in my book. I really appreciate it, and it's just one of those little weird things that makes me feel engaged and connected to my partner. So that's why I really like this exercise, because we often don't really know what our partners really enjoy unless we ask them, unless we have that explicit conversation. And it's one way that we can learn about our partners, and we can learn to show up for them in the ways that they really appreciate, which I think is nice and obviously would be super beneficial for anybody's relationship. Now, exercise 2 is the stress reducing conversation. Now, Gottman has apparently found that this is the most effective form of turning towards your partner, and it yields the most results. Unfortunately, it can be a little tricky if you are bad at communicating, bad at listening, bad at dealing with your partner's emotions. So there could be a little bit of a learning curve to this one, but obviously it's something that you want to spend the time learning. You want to practice it because it gets you really, really good results. Now, the reason why this exercise is so beneficial is because it helps you manage stressors outside of your marriage, which obviously helps create space for more healthy and beneficial interactions within your marriage. So basically, you won't be bringing outside stress into your marriage if you learn how to engage in stress reducing conversations. And many couples do this kind of naturally. Whenever you get home from work at the end of the day, you kind of meet up in the kitchen or the living room and you say, how was your day at work, or how was your day at home with the kids? This is a form of the stress reducing conversation. Unfortunately, if you or your partner aren't that great at listening, this can turn into a stress-inducing conversation, because one or both of you will leave the conversation feeling invalidated, misunderstood, maybe like you were bothering your partner by even having the conversation. So again, another reason why this is really important to learn how to do properly. So how do we go about the conversations? First, be mindful of the timing. Some people come home from work and immediately are ready to unload their day. Other people come home and they need time and space to privately and personally decompress before they want to talk about their day. My husband is that way. He needs time to just kind of be alone and be quiet. I think I am too, a little bit. I don't like just jumping into conversations. I need quiet time to just decompress, gather my thoughts before I'm ready to talk about anything. So know what kind of person your partner is so you can best time the conversation. Now, sometimes these conversations, your partner will want to share good news. And of course, in those conversations, they'll be looking for you to share their enthusiasm and their happiness. Often, our partners will be unloading their fear, their sadness, their frustration, their annoyances. They'll be unloading those feelings onto us. And in some cases, either one or both people in the relationship are really uncomfortable talking about feelings. This is often due to and rooted in childhood, but don't worry, he provides some Tips to help you engage in active listening to make it less uncomfortable and more helpful for you and your partner. So first, take turns. You each get 15 minutes to just word vomit, get everything off your chest, okay? Take turns. You each get 15 minutes. Show genuine interest. Put your phone down. Give your partner some oh and some uh-huh. Give them some little phrases, little nods to let them know that you're paying attention. Keep your eyes focused on them. Don't wander around. Just pay attention to them, right? This one, super important. Refrain from unsolicited advice. This is something that I struggle with personally. When your partner is in pain or experiencing problems, we often want to help them solve the problem and remove the point of pain or sadness. However, it's almost always a bad idea to just jump in, giving unsolicited advice or trying to tell them how to solve the problem. Most people just want to be heard. This is a hard lesson I'm learning. Most people just want to be heard. They just want to be listened to. And if you're unsure, you can always pause and ask your partner or tell your partner, hey, I really want to help you in the best way that you want to be helped. So what do you want from me in this conversation? Do you want me to just listen, or do you want me to help you brainstorm some problem solving? And then let them tell you and provide that help to them. Communicate your understanding. If expressing emotion is hard, this might be a little bit of a challenge for you. But little phrases like, oh, what a bummer, or I'd be super stressed about that too. That would hurt my feelings too. Little phrases like that can communicate that you're understanding what your partner is saying and feeling. 5, take your partner's side. Even if the story they're telling you is about how their boss yelled at them because they were 5 minutes late for work, it's not your job in this moment to cast any kind of moral judgment. You're just there to be empathetic to their feelings. And this isn't really about dishonesty. It's about understanding the timing and understanding that now isn't the time to express any kind of judgment. So just take your partner's side. You know, my boss is yelling at me because I was 5 minutes late. Ugh, your boss sounds like a jerk, right? Things like that. 6, which I personally love, express an us versus them attitude. We against the others. If your partner's feeling alone in a problem, you can say something like, hey, we'll get it figured out together. It really drives home the point that they are not alone in this problem. They don't have to face it alone, that you will be there to go through this problem together. You'll be there with them, alongside them. Now 7, show affection. Put your arm around your partner, give them a hug, give them a squeeze, tell them I love you. Showing affection to a person in a moment of distress or pain or sadness can really help diffuse and lighten that emotional load. Validate their emotions. Validate. Just let your partner know that their feelings make sense to you, that you can understand why they're feeling the way that they're feeling. Now, that being said, the absolute best strategy is the one that works best for both of you. Now, this has to be an explicit conversation where you sit down and talk about what you would like from each other when you're feeling stressed. Having these stress-reducing conversations every day will help your marriage, obviously, in a really amazing way, because it'll reinforce to each other that you're on each other's side. That creates a foundation of long-lasting friendship, which of course is the foundation of a long-lasting marriage. Now, I want to really reiterate this point because Principle 3 was really heavy. There's a lot of information in it that I didn't even touch on. If you are finding this information helpful, if you've implemented a few of these things, if you've tried the exercises with your partner and you seem to enjoy them, I want to encourage you to please buy the book. There's so much more information in there that's so much more beneficial. I highly recommend it. If for whatever reason you cannot buy the book, if it's not in your budget right now, spend some time poking around the Gottman Institute's website. There's tons of articles, tons of printables, tons of resources. All of the information is out there, even if you can't afford to buy it right now. My goal with this is to just really make some of this information accessible to people who otherwise would look at the book and maybe not want to pick it up, maybe think it's not for them, whatever. I just want to make the information accessible to people who otherwise wouldn't get the book. And it's my hope that it'll inspire you to buy the book and actually work these principles together with your partner. Okay, so that wraps up the final part of Principle 3 that I'm going to be going over. Next week, we'll meet up and we will start going over Principle 4. I can't wait to get into it, and I hope to see you guys there. Bye.